morning, everyone. How are you today? Oh, some of you are looking sleepy. Be thankful that the haze is over, right? Kind of, it is not over, but it has kind of improved in terms of the breathability and stuff. It won't be over anytime soon. It will be at least until March. That's what I heard. Yeah. So they say, you know, because we have typhoon going on in Philippines right now, so it's either going to like just blow the haze away from you or just push everything back to you. So it really depends. So I guess everyone is I hope everyone is progressing well with your crowdfunding campaign. All right. For those of you who have updated me about your progress and things like that, thank you for that. And for those of you who have not, especially the ones who were not around last Friday, so please keep me posted on what you have been doing so far. All right. So today we're going to talk about marketing. Okay. So what's marketing? When you hear the word marketing, what do you think of? Anyone? What's marketing to you? Selling. All right. What about you, Clinton? Makeup. Oh, you think of that? You think makeup? Oh, okay. Promotion. All right. So remember, as we have discussed on your crowdfunding update and progress, then I think like quite a number of us now, after we have put it up and the campaign is active, so our next point is to make sure that the marketing is good and you're really like selling whatever that you're crowdfunding for, and you want to make sure that your friends or anyone else actually know about what your product is about or services, all right? So marketing is basically about knowing the market and customers' requirement, needs and desires. Remember, every time when we come across, when we start doing a project and all that, it starts with an idea, right? So from the idea and all that, remember we have gone through the lean startup principle, all right? And then we identify who your customer is, and then your challenge, and then your core assumption, and then you run some tests to validate the experiment to see whether your customers really need it or not. Because this is very important for your crowdfunding campaign. Every time, I mean, to get supporters or to get pledges, obviously we want to make sure that you actually have the pool of customers that will be interested in your product or services, all right? So, and what do we do? Value proposition is very important, right? So for all our products, we always have value proposition. Because why? We want to be able to identify how different or what kind of change that you can do or to make better, all right? For whatever your product or services are, because you will have your competitors and stuff, right? So this is going to be part of the competitive advantage that you have over the rest of the competitors who are doing the same project. All right. So remember our CDIO framework and all that: conceiving, designing, implementing, and operating. So all this can also be involved in terms of your business model or your crowdfunding campaign and all that. Because, you know, engineering is a way of thinking, right? So as engineers, we are always very used to the CDIO framework already. But actually, CDIO framework can also be used not only in specific engineering way, all right, but even in your crowdfunding or in your marketing promotion and stuff. It will all be applicable and all, because it's so diverse, right? The term itself is like quite broad, all right? Every time you have a project, you always start with conceiving, and then after that you go on with designing it, right? And then the implementing part, for those of you who have products, then that will be the time that you actually manufacture it and all. For those of you who have services, probably the building part of whatever your service would be, all right? Operating will be when you deliver it. So if you relate it to our crowdfunding campaign, you know, your crowdfunding campaign will end like at certain stage and all that, after which that would go to the implementing stage, right? Because for whatever that you have promised or whatever that you have put out in your crowdfunding campaign, after the campaign is over and when your campaign is successful, then you want to be able to implement it, and then you want to make it clear to your customers or to your supporters on when will be the duration or the time frame that you will need to deliver those stuff that you have promised them, all right? This is a short video on marketing. Can you hear it?
Let's take a tour of marketing to see how it all began and where it's going. So, what is marketing exactly? Marketing can be explained using the 4 P's. Product, which is goods such as a car, or a service such as a web design. Place, or distribution, is where the manufacturer intends to sell the product. Price, the marketer must determine the price at which the product will be sold at. And promotion is either a discount or an advertisement of the product. So, where did marketing begin? Marketing began back around 15,000 years ago. With the beginning of
Is it the squarish shape or the round shape?
But they were still able to market their products. And because of trade, consumerism is what it is today.
Round.
People had products such as spices and material. They were surprised, even if those traded their products for other goods. Promotions was word of mouth, and place was usually at a trade malls. Although marketing was not an acknowledged study until the 1900s, it played an important role throughout history. In 1450, Johannes Gutenberg invented the printing press, allowing mass production of marketing and advertising materials, which enabled people to spread news about their business throughout their cities by the masses, which is why Gutenberg is considered by many the king of mass communication. In 1836, the first print advertisement was released. This is what started all of the newspaper and magazine ads that we see today. So you thought spam was new to the internet age? Think again. People used to use telegraphs to send spam. The earliest recorded telegraph spam was in 1864. So much for the early days without spam button. Once we get into the 1900s, it's all technical information that will bore you with the bonus. So let's try and make it simple. In the 1990s, the CRM was developed, which allowed all the items sold to be tracked and used to determine how good a product sells. This became essential to marketing and market research. And what about marketing today? Well, billions of dollars are spent on marketing and advertising every year. Marketing plays a major part of business, and without it, mass consumerism wouldn't be what it is today, nor would goods and services be as cheap and available. Therefore, marketing is essential to any business, but marketing agencies target large corporations with a large corporation's budget. In other words, they charge an arm and a leg to help advertise their products and services. The downfall, small businesses need all of their arms and legs for their business to survive. So, what is the future for marketing? Well, marketing isn't going anywhere, but the next step is to find affordable marketing so that small businesses can survive in a world of big corporations.
So if you compare to how marketing was done back then and now, can you imagine? I mean, like back then they did not even have internet and all that. So imagine, the first marketing that was ever done is like around 1864, so that's like very, very long time ago. So imagine with the limited technology that they had last time, and they're still selling and marketing, but of course you can't compare it to how it is now. How would you guys do the marketing part of your campaign and everything nowadays? Facebook, social media. So, I mean, like it's easier to be done nowadays due to the fact that we actually have so much of technology and you can really make use of that. All right, all you can do is just like type something out and just with few clicks and you can actually get your message across, right? So that's a huge difference over there. So just now in the video also, they actually showed you a slide, you know, history and how it actually develops from time to time. So back then, when we had no technology and stuff, and when everyone was still trying hard to put food on the table for the family and all that, this is when we know it as the production era. So they actually have a few eras for it. for marketing, the evolution, how it came about and all that. So during the production era, what happens is that you actually have mass production, all right? So with mass production, you're producing it a lot and all that, so it means that whatever products that are produced, then that's when it's actually available. Do people have a choice? No, they don't, because back then and all, it's still very new, and if someone actually decides to mass produce something and all that, that would be considered like the first part of how marketing goes, because back then, even like transportation and everything, that's like quite difficult, because during then and all that, it also coincides with all the wars and everything. So after that, it actually evolves to the product era. So it's almost the same, and then everything that's produced is in terms of, so how the motto is, or how it actually came about, was just about quantity over quality, all right? So they only care about quantity, so the more the better. How the quality goes and all doesn't really matter, all right? Because back then, to even get a food product or anything, it's pretty difficult, all right? And more often than not, all these families have all their sons, even at the young age, helping out the fathers to work, to put food on the table, and then the girls will be put at home, expected to be taking care of the household chores and taking care of the siblings, younger siblings and whatnot, all right? But after that, what happens is that then we went to the sales era, okay? For sales era, that's when, okay, now that, you know, you have gone to a more modern time and all that, and then war is over, you know, you have the industrialization era and so on, all right? So from the shift of guys just being the only ones that are at work, while the women are actually at home, all right? So this is the era where the guys would be working in offices and all these bureaucrats and all, and then the girls will start to be working in the factory. So you actually start to have a double income family and all that already. So during this time, competition also increased when it comes to you marketing your product or anything, because at this point of time, you start to have like it's more obvious and more common already to have double income family, which means the men and the women actually work at the same time, all right? So of course, now people actually have more access, more income or earning power. So whatever that you do in the marketing of your product or service, the competition actually has increased, because now that, just imagine, you already start having like more earning power and all that. So now you get to choose, right? So you want to be choosing like whatever that's best for you. You do not want to just simply settle for one product, and you would want to compare like some brands or whatever. So this is the time when product is produced so largely that it actually becomes like a commodity already. It's nothing so special about it already, because that's something that you see everywhere, all right? So when there's something that you just see everywhere, obviously whichever company that actually comes up with the product, there's like a very strict competition and all that for it, okay? And then the marketing era is when what happens is that you would want to deliver satisfaction. So what's more important in this era would be they want to do a promotion or campaign or anything that actually delivers a satisfaction to the customer, all right? That's what they thought as the competitive advantage over the other competitors and all that. So what they do is that they want to do something or promote something to make sure that you're more satisfied with them, and they have the competitive advantage over the other people and all that. So for example, this would be like some promotions. If you take air flight for example, all right? So you know, like we have like different companies, different airlines, right? And then they come up with different promotion and all that. And then do you know that they actually even have free seats and so on, and then they want to deliver a satisfaction to you in terms of what? Probably sometimes it could be in terms of the reduced price of what you're going to purchase, sometimes probably for the services that they give you. If you decide to choose on getting into business class or first class, then they make sure that they actually give you one of a whole life experience or something like that, all right? So that's how they approach the satisfaction part, all right? Relationship marketing era is when your focus has changed to lifetime customer. You know, nowadays you can actually be members of a lot of different services that you go on or you commit to, right? For example, like if you just take back the airline company or whatever, then you see sometimes you get the reward points for every time you fly and stuff. And then after that, so all these small stuff, they are actually the strategies, all right, to get you to be loyal to their company. Probably the more you fly, the more points you collect. With the points and everything, then you can translate it into a free ticket or a discount or anything. So all these are part of the strategies. And this is just to show like how it actually slightly evolved from back then, from time of the war to nowadays where everything is available, and what kind of strategy or something that they actually pursue in trying to get the customers to stick with them, all right? I think there's another video, and this is actually from, this is actually on Steve Jobs, on marketing. He was so young that time.
Marketing about values. This is a very complicated world, a very noisy world. And we're not going to get a chance to get people to remember much about us. No companies. And so we have to be really clear on what we want to know about us. Now, Apple, fortunately, is one of the half a dozen best brands in the whole world. Right up there with Nike, Disney, Coke, Sony. It is one of the greats of the greats, not just in this country, but all around the world. But even a great brand needs investment in caring if it's going to retain its relevance and vitality. And the Apple brand has clearly suffered from neglect in this area in the last few years. And we need to bring it back. Our customers want to know who is Apple and what is it that we stand for. Where do we fit in the field? And what we're about isn't making boxes for people to get their jobs, although we do that here. We do that better than almost anybody in some people. But Apple's about something more than that. Apple, at the core, its core value is that we believe that people with passion can change the world. That's what we do. We wanted to find a way to communicate this. And what we have is something that I'm very moved by. It honors those people who have passion. Some of them are living, some of them aren't. But the ones that aren't, as you'll see, you know that if they'd ever used a computer, it would have been.
So, I bet you guys are like a bit surprised when you see him in in shorts. So, but apparently over there it's very common. Is it common now? Not so much yet, right? Tucked in his shirt on his. So no tucking in shirt when you present at Apple. Yeah. I mean, like back then when I was in some exchange student program, and I actually went to school, and the lecturer just came with faded kind of semi-torn t-shirt and just slippers and and shorts. Looks like he's just staying at home for a lazy day out, some sort like that. But anyway, I mean, like you get his whole idea, right? So how many of you actually have any Apple product? Raise of hand. Not many. I think there must be much more than you all, right? Why you're not raising your hand? It's so obvious it's there. Well, Who doesn't have? Oh, all right, sorry, I need to rephrase my question. Who doesn't have any Apple product? So what happened to you all? I mean, like, you believe in something else? Android. What about you, Rizwan? Your phone is still okay, then you do not want to change. But will you change to something of Apple's one next time when you want? 10 years later, are you sure your phone can 5 years? So you think that it can actually reach another 10 years of lifetime? You've been using it every day? You haven't really been using it. All right. Well, it depends. I mean, I do have a friend who's like so gadget crazy that every single new product that comes out, he just goes and buys it and just queues for it. Anyone like that over here? So anyway, so as what we have talked about just now, I mean, like, CDIO is not just for engineering. So for marketing and all that, we can do that as well. All right. Just take an example. If let's say like you're in a stationery business, all right, and then you want to produce like a very nice pen or whatever, all right, you can use your CDIO framework actually, right? So what happens in the conceiving stage? Ideas, all right. Then you will start to think about all the ideas and everything. So if you want to produce a pen, what would that? How would you start with conceiving part? What would sell, all right, and then most importantly, what your customers would want, right? All right, that's the most important one. So for every project or everything at all that you do, the most important part, we always go back to the customer point of view. What you think that the customer will want, and then remember Steve Jobs once said that sometimes it's like the customers do not know that they want it until they see it. So we can be a bit futuristic in terms of, having this sort of thinking. You think what they actually will really need or what they will actually really like. And if you come across that, then that will be good. So the designing part will be when, upon knowing what your customers like and all that, probably what are the components, for example, like for a pen? If you're using a pen, what would you want? How would you want it to be? Would you want a grip around it for you to hold onto the pen, right? So maybe there are like some stuff like that that you want to think about. And then anything else for pen, for example? Sorry? Long lasting. Cheap. All right. So these are the stuff that, of course, when it comes to the designing part, you want it cheap and all that, but you do not want to, just compensate for the quality and all that, right? So it all has to be balanced as well. All right. And then the implementing part will be when you actually manufacture the pen. All right. The operating part is when you actually make sure that it's actually functional, right? I think this is a bit common for you all. So that could be the point when you actually let the customer try it out and see, test out how the pen actually feels like and all that, and then you get feedback. So that's just part of the example if you are producing a pen for marketing purpose or whatever. So all you can do also is relate it back to your crowdfunding project. Start thinking about how you can generate more traffic to your page, all right? And then to make it as interesting as possible, what makes you different from the rest, and then you can approach that to get more customers to be interested in your product or service and then pledge for you, right? So we're talking about life cycle of a product or service right now, okay? So if you see, every time when you have a new product where no one has used it before or whatever, it always starts with the journey with only a few people would want to try it out, all right? Because people do not really like new or, to try out new stuff or whatever. There will be, but in the beginning, there will just be a small fraction of people, right? So because why? It's something new, it's something novel, right? And what happens when you first have a new product for people to test out, or when you market out a new product? It will be expensive because it's so rare, right? Even the cost to manufacture it and all that, that would be like quite pricey. And then obviously, in the beginning when you have that, it might not have the necessarily tip-top performance, right? There will be still a lot of areas for improvement for your product, all right? And then, but what happens is that if your customer sees a value in it, that's why it's so important for us to have value proposition, all right? What do you want to achieve with your product or service? What kind of difference? How are you making it better and all that? So if customer sees a value to it and all that, then eventually your product will be sort of like so common, all right? You'll produce it more, and then when it's common and all that, this is what we call as it being a commodity, right? If the trend continues, okay? If you just compare, for example, back then, people only eat white rice and people do not really know about brown rice and the benefits of it and all that. But look at what happens now. You are seeing like all these restaurants and all that mushrooming, selling healthy food, brown rice and all that. I'm quite sure like in some of your households now, you're actually eating brown rice as well. If you talk about back then, it would be more expensive because like it's so rare, people do not really try it out as well. Okay, when we talk about sustainability of business, right? So we actually have this chart here. This chart is actually taken from Jeffrey Moore, all right, from Crossing the Chasm, all right? So this is a graph on novel products and the life cycle, all right? So what happens is that he claims that the bell curve over here, all right, is what you see as the area under the curve indicates the number of customers, all right? So when you first have a certain new product, all right, there will just be one or two fellas who will want to try it out. You know, take Hush Puppy shoes for example, all right? You know they have like a certain design and style, right? So I can't really remember the exact years or whatever, but it was quite a long time ago. What I read was that in the beginning when the product is out, and then it's just like from a small shoe store, how Hush Puppy started. And then two youngsters decided to wear it, you know, because back then, the shoes and all that are of like it's like of slick design or whatever, but it's comfortable at the same time, right? But probably back then they do not see much of that kind of design of shoes and comfort and whatnot. All right. So what happens is that every time when something new comes up, only very few people will be willing to try it out. So this first batch of people who will be willing to try it out, all right, will be what we call as innovators. So these are the first batch of people that will try out new stuff. Even when Facebook first came about, only very few will try it out. So these are the people that we will call as innovators. Very updated with whatever new that's coming out, very willing to try and all that. All right. So after they have started this, and then as the numbers start picking up and all that, so here comes the early adopters. Early adopters will be when they see, oh, okay, some people have started wearing the shoe, or some people have started using Facebook, and it seems like it's not bad and everything. So they start to follow suit. This will be what we call as the early adopters. So that will be at the second part, which is colored in red, all right? So when the number starts to pick up, when your product or services seem interesting, and the number of customers, you see it's in an increasing pattern, right? So the number of customers are growing and all that already. So here comes at the middle part of it, which is what we call as early majority, all right? This is the time when you start to see that almost 50% of the people or the population actually use the product, all right? Wearing Hush Puppy shoe or using Facebook, all right? So this is when it's at the max or at the peak of the performance, all right? What about, you see that the number of customers later on, it will actually, why is this part decreasing and all that? Because it has become so common that everyone already start using it. That will be at the early majority side, right? So the late majority will be when they see when everyone is already using, most of the people are already using, so they thought like, okay, now they're going to start using it and all that. It could be applicable to probably smartphones as well, right? Back then, only very few, and then it starts to be more, and then nowadays, it's like almost everyone has a smartphone, even kids and everything, all right? But what happens to the laggards? Laggards will be the last last portion, last part of the customer. This will be the people where they see when your product or service has become a commodity, everyone else is already using. That is so, nowadays, if you think that someone is not using a smartphone, then you think that it's quite weird. Yes? No? No. But are you using one? Right? So how many of you here who are not using smartphone? No one, right? Are you? See, no one. So if suddenly there's like any of your friend nowadays that is still not using a smartphone and all that, tell me you don't think about it like just, you know, I mean like not to be judgmental or whatever, but you'll be like, oh, okay, how come you, deep inside you, you'll be thinking like, oh, okay, how come you're not using one? Like that, right? Or you will find it weird probably if your friend does not use Facebook or WhatsApp or something like that, because it has become so common for you all right? So this is the part of what we call like the small portion of the leftover population who are starting to adapt to it. So this is what we call laggards, all right? So whenever you start a product or service, or even your crowdfunding campaign and whatnot, right? So how do we know for sure that your business is going to pick up or your business is going to be sustainable? So Jeffrey Moore actually mentions that it all goes by the chasm. You see over there, in the early adopters side, slightly in the middle, there's like a break point there, right? And he actually labels it as the chasm, all right? So according to his theory, if your business or anything that you do manage to pick up 10% of the customer population, all right, once it has reached 10%, so it will still be, because innovators is 4%, right? Early adopters is 16%. So it would be 6% of the early adopters. That's why the chasm is actually at the second part here, right? So what he mentioned is that once your product or business reach this part and goes across this, all right, the 10% of the customer population, then it basically means that your business will be continuing, picking up the pace. It will be, the sustainability of your business will be there, all right? So this is what his whole theory is about, all right? As long as you cross the chasm of this curve, all right, as long as you manage to reach 10% of the customer base, it basically sort of gives you this benchmark that your business will be sustainable. So this is what he actually says in Crossing the Chasm. All right. This is actually quite a famous theory and all that. All right. And I thought like you all should know about it. So the area under the curve represents the number of customer. All right. So this is how also how market evolution comes about. Initially, you will have a novel product, something that is new, right? And then you have higher end of the market, which sells very good quality product, but with a more expensive price, right? And then the other one is the lower end of the market. Quality, maybe not so much, but when it comes to price and all that, it's much more affordable, all right? So higher end, lower end. So this is where your product actually becomes like a commodity, all right? Or what we call as commoditization, okay? What happens here is that Clayton Christensen actually wrote a book, and he's actually popularized the term of disruptive innovation, all right? So how it came about is such that you might have a product that is going very well, very good, and then when you start in the beginning, and then you will start improving it, right? So after you have improved the product and all, obviously the cost actually increase. So your product is of better quality, therefore selling it at higher price. That's when you know it as the higher end of the market. You have placed your product to be that, all right? So what Clayton Christensen say is that for you to actually have a disruptive innovation or to disrupt the market, all right, that is when you can be like, so all these high-end market people, these are like the big guys and the big sharks and all that, all right? Disruptive innovation is more when newbies or the underdogs, all right, try to come up with certain product or whatever, all right? So what you could do is that you could actually break through the market, by doing disruptive innovation. But then again, but then again, it actually means that you also need to approach it in certain kind of ways, right? How are you going to compete with the big guys there, who is of higher end of market, but at the same time, you want to make sure that you are better or your product is better than the lower end of the market, all right? So there are a way to explain this. This is on disruptive innovation, by the way.
How does a small, young company beat an industry giant on its own turf? Through what Harvard Business School professor Clayton Christensen calls disruptive innovation. It works like this. Big players focus on sustaining innovation, upgrading existing products and services to attract higher-paying customers. But soon, they start to ignore all the regular customers who just want simple, low-cost alternatives. That's where the entrepreneurial company jumps in with that basic offering. Big guys stay focused on more profitable customers and begin to overserve, adding bells and whistles no one wants to pay for. Meanwhile, the disruptor improves its product to appeal to more people. By the time the incumbent notices, the disruptor has already started to take over the market. The classic example is the steel mini mills, which first produced low-quality rebar, then moved to sheet steel, stealing business from the large mills that had been talking. More recent disruptors include car makers like Toyota and Honda, which launched with economy models, then added luxury features and brands. The only way for industry giants to fight back is by launching their own disruptive innovations. To succeed, they must treat the project as a separate unit with a different business model and growth expectations. Ask, what job do customers need to get done? Segment customers by job, not by product, market size, or demographics. And develop basic, low-cost ways to get the job done. That's how Procter & Gamble came up with Crest Whitener, a cheap, do-it-yourself alternative to an expensive dental service. Disruptive innovation creates new markets and reshapes existing needs. To achieve growth in a fast-changing world, you want to be a disruptor. Don't be disruptive.
So I hope everyone is clear about disruptive innovation now. So what you can do is that for anything that you do, you want to make sure that while it actually gives the same same kind of quality that your higher end or the bigger guys actually offer, but there must be something that you can actually offer more, probably in terms of price, in terms of speed, in terms of a lot of other factors that you can consider that why customers would actually prefer you more. All right, so that's usually like the role of underdogs usually. If you think about how our airline used to be, back then we didn't even have a low budget airplane, right? All we have is mass airlines and all that. So what happens in the beginning when Sir Tony Fernandez started his Air Asia company and all that? Low cost and everything, but in the beginning it's not really picking up the pace or whatever, right? Because like it seems to be something new and all that. But fast forward, how many years has it been already? Quite a good number of years, right? So look at what happens now. Almost everyone is already like, everyone must have at least probably flown in Air Asia once, twice, right? Or at least you guys know about it, and that's also a classic example of how it actually disrupt the market, all right? Because back then it was mass. You want to get somewhere, you only use mass, and then the price will be pricey, right? And then after that, he came up with the low cost, all right? You still get to the same destination, all right? And then with an okay quality, and you're willing to be, it's comfortable enough for you to get from one place to the other, but at cheaper price and all right? So how do you enter the market? All right, if you have a novel product, so it means that you will definitely have to craft your value proposition properly. All right, in terms of whether it's new or whether in terms of the speed, you might offer a faster service or whatever compared to the rest. All right, so these are when we talk about entrepreneurial ecosystem on value proposition. We talked about it before already. All right, you want to be a disruptive innovation, that would be good. All right, and then you want to be marketing commoditized product. All right, You can be marketing a product in a mature market as well, all right? So what happens is that you may have new product, revolutionary product and all that, but of course your vision is necessary, it's important, all right? And I have a very clear proposition on that. And of course, something that is new is always of higher risk, all right? What you want to do is first focus on the innovators, which means that you want to get a small pool of people who are willing to try out what your new product or service is, all right? And then you would want to empower these innovators, and these are the people who are usually like the influencer, right? They are always the one that started out like a certain movement or try out something new or whatever. So once, or probably like what the public know them as the cool people or whatever. So they always try out something new first, and after that it will start picking up pace and people see that, oh, okay, this fella is using it and I'm going to start using it as well. So influence the early adopters, all right? So what are some examples of novel products? You know, back then, in the video that we saw, back then we didn't even have telephones, right? It's all telegraph. Remember the machines and stuff? So, yeah, with the sound effect and all that some more. But after that, it goes to the development of telephones, all right? Back when you were not born, mobile phone was not even there yet, right? I think it's your, right? The older generation and all that. But look at it now. We even have iPhones and all these smartphones and everything, all right? So how are you going to go about disruptive innovation? The most important one is that, of course, you want to be identifying a mature market, which means that the market is already mature and whatever product or service that you are doing, it's already gaining like a lot of attention from people and all that, all right? It could be a mature market, all right? But then again, for all these big guys who are of higher end of the market and all, right, they definitely have certain needs of customers that they have not addressed yet. But at the same time, maybe they do not find it all that important because they already have large base of customer base, large pool of customer base, all right? So what does these disruptive innovators do is that they address the needs that haven't been addressed by these big guys, all right, the major players, all right? And then you address the needs and desires of the existing customers, all right? They may not have been currently addressed. So if you could look at it from this point and just break through the market using this as if you manage to identify the parts that the customers actually want and the big guys are not identifying it or not providing. So you could be the next disruptive innovator, all right? Well, examples of it could be a budget airlines, Skype, remember? Probably it's quite common already nowadays, but back then we did not have Skype. You don't use Skype very often, neither do I. But anyway, all the way. But so, well, it depends. It works for someone, it might not work for the other and all that, right? So, who knows? Do you know what MOOC is? Whatever that we're doing now. This is the massive open online course, all right? Anyway, I do appreciate your feedbacks and everything. You know, actually back then, like last semesters and the previous semesters, what happens is that everyone will be working individually in their group. Sorry, make such a brain not working fine today. So, sorry. Let me just rephrase it properly. So everyone will be working individually for the crowdfunding campaign. So what they had to do is that they had to pair up with an online student and all to work together on crowdfunding campaign and everything. Actually, in our course and all, yeah, so that's what your other friends have done previously and all that. And of course, during then, we also had students that came to us and told us that probably they actually feel comfortable working with another person on campus and everything. But actually back then, it actually gives a whole new different experience, all right? Because you can always ask for advice and everything. Even now itself also, the reason why we actually do this MOOC and all that also is that while, okay, the course is being offered for other people to join in and everything, but it also gives you another set of experience of learning and interacting with the online campus students. Has any of you done this? Like look around, like look at who else is the one who's enrolled in the course and communicate with them, get ideas and everything. So Kat does, all right. So it could be these people could be from overseas. These people could be from other place, other institution and everything. So one of the reason also that makes this course unique is that you could actually learn from one another and share information and all that. All right, and if you need a certain idea of how you want to get your crowdfunding to be successful and all that, please go around and discuss and be as interactive as you can be and all that. Because like, I know that there are like a little bit, maybe like a small part of people who actually feel very skeptical about how the course is running and all that. But it has been going on for a while now, because business skills for engineers has always been a MOOC course, all right? But then again, see to that try to feel and be open to it. By the end of the day, it's all about learning experience and all that, right? So crowdfunding. Crowdfunding is starting to pick up pace in Malaysia already, right now. It's more common in the overseas, but nowadays you can see that in Malaysia, it's already like getting more popular and all that, all right? So when you want to do some marketing in mature market, all right, you might want to decide on which end. Where do you position yourself? All right, it could be the high end, the middle range, or the mass market. All right, so of course you want to differentiate based on the customer needs and desire. All right, this is the part where you identify the points that all these major players are not identifying. You know, there are certain needs that you know, like what Steve Jobs says again. The customers sometimes do not know what they want until they see it. All right, so maybe this pool of customers who are you know, in the big major players, industry and all that, who are using their service or product, they do not know exactly what they want because they do not see it yet. So if you manage to identify that point and break through it using that, all right, then you could be the next disruptive innovator. All right. One of the difference or some of the examples would be environmentally friendly. You know, nowadays, even for soap and everything, also we do have some homemade, organic soap and everything. So, and then for customers who actually really value hygiene and chemical-free product and everything, then this could be the next thing, all right? Yesterday, I actually read on an article, it's like, there's this lady, she's from Malaysia and all that. You know, like nowadays, like everyone's into organic soap and everything, facial product or whatever. You know, women, they use a lot of, you know, I don't know, body scrub, facial stuff, whatever and all that. So this lady actually thought that, oh, okay, because there are also a lot of number of people who are sensitive, very sensitive, and they actually, some of them are very allergic to the chemical compounds that are available in the product, which are commercialized and all that. So what she does is that she came up with her own soap as a hobby, all right? So, but then when it started out as a hobby, but it starts to, and then she starts selling it to her friends and close friends, families, relatives and all that. Then guess what? It starts to pick up the pace and everything, and now she has like stores and she's like expanding it some more, all right? Because all her products apparently would be chemical free. It will be made of all this natural product. For example, like if you want to have like a lip stain or lipstick or whatever, then she actually uses it, she made it using beetroot. Have you guys heard of beetroot? Beetroot has this very red component and all that, right? So it's actually, sorry? Yeah, purple, pinkish purple like that, right? Yeah, but when you actually put it on your cheek or whatever, then it actually, it doesn't really look purple anymore. It looks more like, probably it blends on the, on the brown skin or whatever. You did not know that. So yeah, apparently they actually, yeah, she even came up with products like lip scrub and everything using all this organic, I don't know, some oat paste and all this natural organic product. But guess what? While you might be thinking that, okay, or could be skeptical about it, she managed to garner like a huge pool of customers who are willing to try it. Because now they don't mind paying more for the quality of it, and they do not want to have that much chemical and stuff. Well, probably it's the next thing that you want to think about. You know what they always, like some people say, right? ladies' business and stuff, it's always, you know, if you venture into those kind of stuff, look at salon and stuff, even, as in like any businesses that addresses women's needs. Alright, that sounds a bit wrong anyway, I take it back. So, well, focus on customer service, look at what you want to do. Alright, let's see. So that's actually basically what we should know about marketing. So we just had a recap of whatever it is, right? We learn on the history and how it actually evolves, and then we learn about Clayton Christensen, you know, the curve that we saw, all right? How do we have sustainable business and all that? And then we have disruptive innovation, all right? And how do you go about it to address certain needs that are not met by the big players, all right? So, again, before we end, but later on, I will need you to stay back for a while. I'm quite sure you guys have heard about the TES survey. Have you guys been doing it? Because this week is the week that you all have to do the TES survey, all right? We already even updated it on the revised scheme of work. So week 10, every semester would be on TES survey. So please stay back for a while later on, and then before we end the class, we will do that. Can someone help with a reflection for today? Who was the last one who did last week? Reflection.
Okay.
All right, back to the reflection part.
What I learned today is disruptive innovation.
All
Yeah, I
right.
can give an example on that.
Oh, okay.
For cars
Good.
would be maybe Tesla Motors, because there wasn't really much electric cars out there, but they made it more generalized now. Because
Good
before
example.
then, like nobody know about them, right? Until they release their cars.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, that's all.
Good point.
Thank you.
First thing is good weather.
Good weather. All right, haze isn't over, but anyway, it's much better weather now than it was.
What else? Wait, I just write.
Yeah, so people don't forget to write your brain rewiring also. All right, and complete the activities on open learning. Time to time after every lecture, we will post out the activities and everything. So make sure that you do and complete them.
And good opportunity on internship.
Oh, you have heard from your internship company?
Yes, they accept.
So where are you going to go to after this?
Kejuruteraan Broadway.
Sorry?
Kejuruteraan Broadway.
Where is it at?
Jelas.
Is it near your place?
Not really, but the job is quite okay.
Good for you. Congratulations on that. Okay, thirdly,
Good life.
good life. Yes, you should be thankful that you do have a good life. Fourth,
Internet connection.
internet connection. Yes, we do need that.
What
Fifth
else?
one,
Good lecturer.
good lecturer. Do you actually really put it there? Anyway, thank you so much. So I would like to go on with the brain rewiring also for myself. All right. I'm very glad that all of you attended the class. I thank you for that. I know it's not that easy to actually stay committed to a class of, I don't know, some people actually like TTIC, but some people don't. I don't know why. Some people find it distracting. But what do you guys think? But I actually think that it's quite it's a better way to conduct class rather than LTs and stuff. By the way, speaking of class, I do have an announcement. Due to some events and everything, this Friday's class will be held at LT8. Because they have some events and they're going to use up TTIC. So we will, unfortunately, only for this Friday, all right? I'll post it up on Times and Open Learning after this. Just make sure that you tell your other friends who are not here, all right? I'm thankful for the weather, yes, definitely. Secondly, you guys who have been here and staying through the lecture and listening, all right? Thank you for that. And then our amazing camera crew who's always tirelessly helping out to produce good videos. And then Yvonne to have been helping out. Today she's not wearing the same shirt as I am. We have sort of been wearing it and, unnoticing, going unnoticed. We just so happen to be wearing the same shirt a few times. Sorry? Who is coming? I don't know. Just so happened like that. Great minds think alike, you know. Probably one day we should all wear the engineering t-shirt. I don't know. No? Well, week 14 we will be. I'm actually very excited to see how it's going to be for this semester's one. I haven't looked at the design yet, so. Yeah, the t-shirt. All right, fifthly, I hope, well, I'm glad that I hope that it actually, some of you actually, I hope not some of you, I hope that all of us actually are engaged in this, in today's activity and all that, even though I know it's very hard to stay attentive for the whole time, but with your effort and all that, I thank you so much for it.